In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast. Just want to thank all of our fans and listeners. Really appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. Before we get into tonight's film review, just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I want to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We hope you enjoy the episode. All right, guys, jumping to the film review. We continue on in November with my choice. I chose 2023's Red Rooms. This is our second of 3 IFC Shudder films this month. So if Shudder, you want to throw us like a free month, can I get a FUBU short set? 20% off FUBU short set, something? Free subscription for a month? Nah. Got me out here begging. But no, I chose 2023's Red Rooms. This is a movie I watched a couple months ago. And I don't know why, but this movie just really unsettled me. I really don't know how everyone else feels. Brian kind of gave me a little heads up on how he felt about the movie, but I don't know. This movie just really unsettled me, and I've listened to several interviews from Pascal Plante, the director, writer, and I like the fact that he chose to tell this story from the perspective of the groupies of the true crime case. Like, I really enjoyed that. And Brian and Dustin have said many times in the 6+ years of doing this show that they can't figure out what kind of movies I like. But what I have learned is I really like character study movies. I like Pearl. I like American Psycho. I like Heretic. I like those kind of movies that focus on one character that really intrigue me. And this is one of them. Like, I think that this movie just really unsettles me. It's got one of the creepiest, most horrifying scenes that I've ever watched, me personally, that courtroom scene. And I just really like this movie. I won't say I like the movie, but it's what I'm looking for in cinema these days to just make me think and make me feel. And I really think Juliet Gary Epi gives a great performance as well. I enjoy this movie, and I think it's underrated. I think people should check it out. Go ahead, Brian.
Would you add body horror to your list of likes?
Some of it's pretty good.
Like that.
Some of it's pretty good.
I just thought it was hilarious that we had a Feel My Pain month, and you liked every movie. That was. I was like, oh my god.
What was Dustin's pick during that month? I can't remember. I like Terrifier 2, Human Centipede.
Dramatic, right? Beau is Afraid, I think.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
remember.
I was favorable
what
that
my
whole
pick
month.
was last month. So
I might be a fucked up individual. I did enjoy all those movies, but go ahead.
I didn't say you were fucked up, but anyway. All right. Look, I liked and disliked it, if I'm being honest. It was disappointing to me plot-wise, but yet intriguing, which I know doesn't make sense. I feel like the rewatchability is almost non-existent, though, in my opinion, as I think the first 40 minutes are just excruciatingly painful to watch again. But first-time watch, yes. I may have been disappointed with the ending, but I was very intrigued after that 40-minute mark in wanting to see that solution and the conclusion. Also being pretty involved in the information technology world, there is a ton of stuff with her hacking and tech skills that I was very interested in. I thought it was awesome. And I'll definitely get into that more throughout. But overall, I think the acting was phenomenal. And I think the use of the soundtrack was excellent, especially in that courtroom scene you were talking about. But it's, again, definitely a one watcher for me. And even then, I think the script is too long. So I'm kind of in the middle as far as liking it, but the movie as a whole is really intriguing. So, as the French say, according to Home Alone anyway, maybe I'm l'incompétent, but I really love the choices the director made for the most part.
It's a great reference.
That's really good, especially, since it is Christmas time, no matter what anybody says. So I go back and forth. This is the second time I watched the film. I had seen it previously. I think I texted Nico the first time I watched it. And I said, this is not what I was expecting. Just completely not what I was expecting from a film, from the film. I go back and forth on if I like it or not. It's definitely not enjoyable. I agree with Brian in one thing. I've watched it twice now. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. I'm uncomfortable the last, I'd say, 45 minutes of this movie, just the entire time. It never lets up. I don't feel like I get a chance to breathe. I feel like I'm in a constant state of, you're weird. Just the vibe is totally unsettling. And so this definitely is one that I think stuck with me. Like, there are some disturbing elements to the film. I think it's a deep character study. We never truly get Kellyanne's motivations. You can have a guess at what they are. But that's why I think the way they set it up with her and Clementine, and I kind of go into it in my notes, I'll save it, but the way they kind of set those two characters up, you're kind of leaning towards being more grossed out or disturbed by one, but they tip the scale on you later in the movie. And so you're not, your first thoughts aren't really what's totally true. And even that gets flipped again. So just some really interesting, the discussion around true crime. And we talked about this before, when we did Monster, and even Dahmer, we talked about the elements of true crime, exploiting that genre, how to go about covering it. Now, obviously, this is a fictionalized story, but in this world, it is a true story. And so I think using it to kind of speak about that genre and how people can become obsessed with it, like there's Crime Con, right? Like stuff like that, where you're like, I don't know about that, right? Like that's a little funky to me, but it's also, here we are talking about it on a podcast, right? Like we've done many true crime stories because they were movies. So yes, there's a Crime Con, Brian.
What do you have at a Crime Con? I mean, do the convicted
No, it's all the true crime podcasts
go and sign autographs, or
nope, true crime podcasts coming together, kind of like the cons that you guys go to. Like they will meet up. I actually have seen family members of victims go to those and speak. It's a thing.
And sign?
Yeah,
do they sign autographs? Do they sign posters?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Chief. I didn't like it. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna grade this one off of just my enjoyability, because I do think it's well made, and I do think it's an interesting premise, like to show a story from this point of view and like follow. You've got this major thing happening, like a trial for some heinous crimes, but we're not focused on that. We're focused on someone who's obsessed with it or someone who's following the trial. Like, that's interesting to me. My issue is, and I don't have a problem with slow burns. I've come to really appreciate slow burns a lot with a lot of the indie films that I've been watching over the past couple of years. My issue is that if you're going to have a slow burn, I want more of a payoff. And the ending just didn't really hit for me. I thought that for the first 45 minutes of the movie, I was bored to tears, because I thought, I don't care about her. Yeah, it's a woman who has a job. Cool. It was so mundane to see her everyday life that it was taking me out of it. And then we get to see her more, and it's like, oh, okay, so she's into it. And that is interesting. So it does pick up some there. And I do think she does a good job. I think the acting's good all the way around. But it's just in the ending, I wanted it to be, for as much tension and paranoia as I felt in the third act, I don't think it was paid off. This woman's out here playing vigilante and taking justice into her own hands to get the video into the hands of the right people. Okay, that's not her job. These cops, Deputy Dewey would never. These cops suck. Why didn't they find that? But I don't know. I think there are some positives. I'm not going to give it a bad score, but to say I liked it, I just did not. Sorry.
No, I can appreciate that. But I've watched several other like YouTubers and all that and TikTok reviews. One of the things I like is just the discourse on, is Kellyanne a good person? Like,
No.
I mean, I've seen several people I've seen several people like make the case that like she left that USB drive there not to be nice to Camille's mom. It was to torture her even more, to make her watch her murder. Like, she could have easily just turned that into the police. She could have easily done all that incognito, but she wanted that third victim's mom to suffer.
Well,
I mean, she dressed like her damn kid.
Yeah.
And like mocked her basically, and went into her room and took the same selfie that was shown throughout the trial. Like, Kellyanne is not a good person, but she's very well educated and all that.
There's a very basic flow chart you can follow to find out is she a good person. The first block says,
here we go.
Is she a woman? The next block is yes or no. If you go yes, and the answer to that question is no. So
Bruce, take your pills.
sorry. Niche reference that only you and I get.
Yeah, that's a niche. Oh, really quick. So, all right. I can't find the name. Oh, yeah, the Lady of Shalott, right? Her name, the painting. Listening to other things like Nico and reading up a little bit on it, I think they're trying to make Kellyanne have that as well, where you're like half sick, half happy. Like, I think there's a little bit of that with Kellyanne, where there's duplicity in her character, where I actually do think she leaves the USB to, quote, try to do a good thing while also being sick in the head and numb to the other stuff. She's seen so much stuff. She's so desensitized to the material that she's seen online that she's just chasing the next thrill like a junkie. Like, her face lights up when she finally sees the third video. Like, it is like therapeutic, euphoric for her. But I also think, she has to drink a glass of wine and walk away. And there's a lot there. I think it's an interesting character study. Now, I'm not saying she's a bad person. I mean, anybody that would do the things that she does in this film is a bad person. The amount of Bitcoin that she spent to get that video makes her disgusting. But I do think it's interesting, her nickname. I feel like she also knows that she has that dark side. That's why her screen name is what it is, the Lady of Shalott. So anyway, that's where I think her duplicity comes in. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're reading way too much into it. But she's definitely not a good person.
If she had,
I think I disagree with that some. Especially, I think there is a line we'll get to in scene 4 that tells everything you need to know about her, and I don't think there's any good in that whatsoever. I think that her dropping that off was not at all a good thing. I think that it was nothing but bad. So I guess, we'll get to it. But
because if she had altruistic intentions, then there's these things called mailboxes you can leave the USB in. You don't have to break into the freaking house.
Yeah, and one thing I just wanted to add before we get into the scene by scene is writer Pascal Plante actually added in all this medieval stuff after, because he didn't want Kellyanne to be too much like Elizabeth Salander from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. He wanted her to be more unique, and he didn't want her to be the the exact same, hacker type girl. Is Girl with the Dragon Tattoo a good movie? I haven't seen it. I probably need it. It's David Fincher, so I should probably check it out.
yes,
Daniel Craig. Baby.
yes,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Daniel Craig was in another movie that I watched last year that Mike would really like. It's called Queer. A24 Films.
It's definitely A24 without question.
But anywho, the film starts with a spooky score as we see Kellyanne asleep outside in the streets. She wakes up and heads to the courthouse. She goes through security and finds out the time for Ludovic Chevalier's case. She gets a seat for his trial, and we get a title card. Ludovic is put into his box in the courtroom as the jury and bailiffs enter. Justice enters, and the trial begins by saying they'll be spending the next 2 months together. He stresses to the jury the importance of their role in this case and what the defense and prosecution's jobs are. The evidence is extremely explicit and graphic, and it's best to leave now if you can't handle it. The defense says he is not guilty, and the Crown prosecutor gives their opening statement saying Kim LeBlanc, Justine Roy, and Camille Beaulieu won't see their next birthday as we see their pictures. A lot of dialogue ensues, stressing everything they won't get to experience or achieve since they're dead now. She explains what Ludovic did, killing them in a red room for a small private audience. She stresses how terrible the 2 tapes of the girls' murders were. Genital mutilation, eyeballs slit, intestines on display, limbs torn off, and the girl screams. They've yet to find Camille's video. The jury is told she apologizes for the pain she's inflicting on them having them watch these videos. She names off all the witnesses and experts they'll interrogate as we see Ludovic sit in his box, seemingly bored and detached with what's being said. She explains why she didn't walk away from the case. She wants justice for the victims' families. She takes her seat and the defense gives their opening statements now. He starts off saying what happened to the girls is horrific, but to have an open mind in the case. He keeps stressing, can you be 100% certain it was him who did these crimes? No, he says. Nothing in his past indicates he'd do something like this. He's a model citizen. He says thousands of men in Montreal have the same eye color and body build as his defendant. More defense dialogue as the camera slowly zooms towards Kellyanne, who stares stoically. All right, Brian, that's the opening set of scenes. What'd you think?
All right, yeah, this set of scenes was brutal to me, man. And this is the main reason for me saying that the rewatchability is almost non-existent. I mean, who wants to sit through a 21-minute opening statements between the prosecution and defense more than one time? I mean, look, 2 years ago, I served on a 12-month term on the Florida grand jury and saw many cases. So this is very realistic as far as that goes. Obviously, a little different for a Canadian court, but still basically the same thing. So realism, 100%. But you barely got me the first time. There's no chance I'm sitting there for 21 more minutes of multiple times listening to these opening statements again. So not much on this set of scenes from me besides just bravo to the realism and the director Pascal Plante on trying to keep the attention with the bunch of cuts that are done. So far, I hate this movie. But again, it does rope me in later.
That was all one cut, by the way. I thought that was really impressive. That was one shot.
Mm-hmm.
I did not notice that. I was honestly like I couldn't even like look at my phone, and I think I said this later because I was reading so much, and I didn't want to miss anything. And so I usually appreciate those one cuts, and I missed it. Didn't even know it.
Yeah. So right off the bat here, I would, Brian, I understand you thinking this happened in France, even though there's a Canadian flag in the back of the courtroom. But I don't blame you because we do start off with like a French music. I don't know any other way to describe it other than French music, man. I'm sorry. So if we have any French listeners, I'm sorry. We're just ignorant as all. But watching this movie, I'm like, we're getting more subtitles. I feel like the scene from Inglourious Basterds with Bridget von Hammersmark, where she's like, do you Americans speak any other languages? Gorlami. Great scene. Only Brad Pitt could have delivered that line as perfectly as he did. But anyway, I already love this movie because I've been trying to find a way to get more courtroom dramas on this show. Very difficult to do. Like Exorcism of Emily Rose comes to mind. We've done that. So we've done some other ones too. But finally we get back into the courtroom, and I think it makes for an interesting set for a movie. Now, this is a stupidly modern looking courtroom. I mean, is Montreal just like, is this the courts? Like, is this how they look? If you're a listener in that area, let me know. Like, is this real? Because this kind of feels like a hospital room. Ours are all like made of wood and like old timey feeling. This feels like straight out of 2038 or whatever. I don't know what year. And even though it takes a while to get through, them going through and acknowledging the victims one by one, talking about them, really adds a lot of levity to this scene, in my opinion, because as we get into, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, so we don't have to hit the same beats, but eventually, no matter which true crime story you cover, you will move away from the victim and end up talking a lot more about the killer. It is the way the human psyche works. It's the way the brain works, especially when it's not your trauma that you're speaking on. Now, I will say, thank God for subtitles, because learning the details about this case, I would have never known what the hell was going on. But when you do, I'm mad that I can read what's going on because this sounds horrific. Just terrible fucking person. Just the worst kind of shit happening on the underground internet. And unfortunately, there are people really like him that sell these snuff films and buy them. It's awful. It's a disgusting thing to have to sit and read for sure. Not much more to say because the whole thing is basically a courtroom scene, but I think it's an interesting set of scenes that kind of hooked me already on the story of where this is going.
I'm not going to lie. This courtroom looks way too sterile for me. Like, courtrooms are unpleasant as is, but the all white walls and lack of any decor, it was unnerving like that. The courtroom made me uncomfortable. Secondly, French is such an unserious language. Blah, 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 blah. God, I could not take this movie seriously just because of how they sounded. I do appreciate that we don't waste time getting to the story. Like, we arrive in court and hit the ground running. Well, hit the ground walking, I should say. The prosecutor and defense addressing the jury, the opening statements, they take a good amount of time, like way too much. And it's just pretty standard stuff. It's just in a funny sounding language. Pretty wild defense. I would have to fire my attorney. To say that someone hacked his computer and put the videos there, that's one of the arguments that you're going to try to make. Yeah, that's not holding up. But it's a decent enough open, I guess. It's just way too long for what it was.
You sounded just like Adam Sandler on Hotel Transylvania when you were like, blah, 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 blah.
I don't say blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, before I get into the next set of scenes, I just wanted to say that I don't know what a Canadian courtroom looks like, but that was a set piece. They weren't allowed to actually take cameras into it, so they had to build that. But I agree, like, it was like unsettling just how white the walls were and everything. I was going to say something else, but it totally just blanked my mind. No, okay, I remember now. To me, like, the prosecution, like, the lady, like, giving her opening statement, like, I really appreciate that the director didn't really show, like, any gore in this movie. Like, it was just like we've said for the past, 6 years, theater of the mind. Like, you just described what the girls went through, and, like, that just scared me enough. Like, I didn't need to see it. And, you know, it made me, like, I listened to an interview he did, and it just, I really appreciated the fact that he said that he doesn't really care about gory scenes because to him, that's just prosthetics on the ground. He wants to haunt you with, like, your imagination. And I just appreciated that. And I figured since you're not a Terrifier fan, you might appreciate that approach as well.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing that I did appreciate was the stark difference in the prosecutor's demeanor and the defense attorney's demeanor. Like, she sounds so impassioned and just mortified by what she has seen and just truly on a mission for justice. And he just seemed like a typical sleazy defense attorney. Like, he didn't really have an argument. He's like, can you prove that it was him? And, like, I thought that was very believable. Maybe not believable, like, with how attorneys really are, but believable in what we've been led to believe about defense attorneys being kind of sleazy and just in it to win, no matter if they're right or wrong. And the prosecutor just wanting justice. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's get to the next set of scenes. Kellyanne leaves the courtroom as reporters ask why she was at the case. I was curious. I wanted to see him in person, is all she says. The press now runs to another lady named Clementine who believes he's innocent and being set up. He wouldn't hurt a fly. He's an unhappy man, she says. Kellyanne stares at her as she goes to the subway. Kellyanne is in her fancy apartment making a smoothie. She sits at her computer and has her AI, Guinevere, check her emails. She creates an appointment for a photo shoot as she plays online high-stakes poker. She takes a shower and heads back to the streets to sleep so she can ensure a spot in the courtroom the next morning. Clementine wakes her and offers her coffee with sugar that she doesn't like. Kellyanne says she doesn't drink coffee and tells her they can make her another drink. It's a big deal. They're supposed to do the job the right way and offers to hold her spot in line. Clementine reads Ludovic's horoscope and Kellyanne doesn't care. She asks if she's getting him a birthday gift and the door is open. Camille's mother is questioned and she describes the school uniform she's wearing in the picture. We see another picture of a battered uniform that was found and Mom verified she wore braces and were shown destroyed braces. She asks for a break and the judge grants it. Clementine and Kellyanne go to eat and she's passionate that Ludovic isn't being tried fairly. The two debate the uniform and the blood found on it. The two sit down to eat as Clementine continues to defend him and Kellyanne whips out her phone to play poker. She gives Clementine $20 for lunch and she laughs at her for not liking avocado and playfully smushes them, calling them the prosecutors. Back to court, and the defense questions Camille's mother now. Kellyanne walks by Mama being questioned by the press passionately, saying she wants justice for the three girls. She concludes by calling all of them groupies obscene and disgusting as we cut to Kellyanne staring at her, seemingly triggered by what she said. All right, Bryson, next set of scenes, what do you think?
Look, like Mike mentioned, I think we talked about serial killer groupies some when I was laying into them during the Monsters Dahmer show that we did, don'tgoother.com. So I know they exist. But I have to say, and I feel like I say this more and more in just normal life, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Now, with that said, we aren't sure who Clementine is, and it takes forever to even get Kellyanne's name unless I missed it. So at this point, I'm not sure if Clementine is just being an apologist for Ludwig or is just one of those groupies. So all of this excuse making that she gives as we start out here really turns me off to her character at first, which is honestly kind of brilliant because of the turnaround that we do on her later. But again, not much on this set of scenes. I mean, the movie still does not have me. Admittedly, there's so much not being told right now that I'm biting into the red herrings. I'm buying the red herrings that they're feeding me, hook, line, and sinker. Like, I'm wondering, did Camille's mom do it? And honestly, I'm thinking at this point, like, Ludwig may be innocent just because I'm trying to be smarter than the movie and I'm expecting a plot twist. And I was like, oh, he's too obvious. So I'm starting to buy in a little bit at this point to the movie as a whole. But admittedly, I would have been looking at my phone had I been able to understand French and not been having to read subtitles. So I'm wanting this to hurry the fuck up and get to something at this point.
Yeah, it is a slow burn for sure. I'd say the first over half the film, really. But anyway, an interesting looking crew in the back of the courtroom. And I bring up this point later, but I can skip over it then and just bring it up now. Are people just still like how often is the public allowed in big time court cases like this now? Serious question. Like, I honestly don't know. I don't follow, major trials, but I mean, letting fangirls into the courtroom sounds like a terrible idea. Probably would have had a closed court hearing there, but maybe there's some law there that they're not allowed to. I don't know. Definitely some commentary that we're about to get with the character of Clementine and serial killer groupies and Columbiners and people like that from back in the day. That's what the character of Clementine is going to be. Now, this woman, Kellyanne, which, by the way, don't call me sometime as a character, but the actress. Hey, anyway. But she loves smoothies, man. She makes like 5 smoothies throughout this thing. It looks like that's about all that she eats. Now they don't, this is where it starts to bother me a little bit that we're having a slow burn because Kellyanne is sleeping outside the courtroom. We have no idea why. Like, what are her motives? Why is she here? I have no problem with a slow burn, but we got to get a little something at some point. And they just take a long time. It's just weirdo behavior, right? Because we see that she's a model, a functioning normal member of society, and yet here she is sleeping outside the courtroom for this case. Just really, really odd to me. Do AI assistants like this exist that people use all the time, rich people? Because I got to tell you, there goes my water for the month. I mean, you're just using up all the water and electricity. We're going to have nothing left anyway. I would never use AI. Shout out to that. Just kidding. Montreal looks like a fancy place. Again, unfamiliar with the culture, unfamiliar with the layout there, but it looks like a very big, fancy city. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. If we have listeners in the area, please let me know if I'm just a country hick bumpkin, which I probably am. Now, again, we get a little bit of a peek into the character of Kellyanne because she's a bitch. She's definitely faking nice to Clementine. Now, there's definitely her wanting some human interaction, but Clementine and her would not ever be friends outside of the fact that they're both trying to get inside this courtroom, and we don't know why. Now, Clementine is a murderer, obsessed woman, and believes in horoscopes. That's a double whammy. She has no chance. She sounds like she may be just dangerous enough to date Dustin, so shout out to him. I do like that they're reminding us again that there are victims in this case, and they kind of lay that out again. Just a quick shot, no gore, but there's some of the retainer scene where they kind of give you a little bit of a glimpse, and everyone in the courtroom has that reaction, that guttural reaction where it's like, ooh, this is a pretty horrific crime that we're getting here. And again, the links that people like Clementine will go to defend this piece of shit, these people exist. They're in the real world with us all the time. Columbiners, like I mentioned from Reddit back in the day. There's people that defend school shooters as tortured souls and all this stuff. Just weird stuff. Last thing I really have here. These two, Kellyanne and Clementine, are interesting characters to play off of one another because this is like a buddy cop movie to me, where there's a hysterical, funny person and a straight man, right? Like Kellyanne's like all serious business, total psychopath, and then Clementine's like he. I love this guy, and they have to play off of each other. I found their dynamic to be interesting as the movie starts to go on.
Immediately worried about Kellyanne. Like at this point, I took notes on this the one and only time I watched it. So at this point, I don't know her relation to the story yet, but she just looks disheveled, and they haven't even shown any evidence yet. She may not hold up, is what I was thinking. Then I got extra worried about her for a different reason before she got on the train. Did anyone else notice that the guy standing next to her on the train platform looked like the New York financier Jeff Epstein? I had a double take. Like, he looked like Jeffrey Epstein, the extra standing beside her.
The New York financier.
The New York financier Jeff Epstein.
Wow.
Have you not seen that bit on Conan's podcast?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, I'm gonna send it to you. It's the funniest thing ever.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, I won't lie. The movie did kind of lose me a bit here. Like, I get that she has a life outside the courtroom, and this is a character study. But the courtroom, to me, like, that's where the story is. So at this point, all this is a side quest. It just feels unnecessary and unwanted for me. At this point, I'm thinking maybe they'll tie it all in back together and get me back, though. So I'm not giving up on it at this point. When we do get back to the court, I think that Maxwell McCabe Locos, he does a good job in his box there, playing Ludovic, whatever his name was. Like, he looks so detached and sociopathic, just sitting there while everyone else is gasping and showing emotion. Like, he fits the bill. It's kind of an odd choice in story direction for me at this point, but I'm along for the ride.
Scene 3.
Scene 3, I tell you.
Bobby.
Why do you say it like that?
I'll just
Bobby
listen.
Mom.
Another smoothie being made as she looks up Francine Beaulieu. She looks intently at the school uniforms and looks through other articles and videos from the crime scene. Kellyanne looks up Francine on social media to find her job and sees her email may have been compromised. Francine begs if anyone has answers, please go to the police as Kellyanne stares at the screen. She notices the home address and looks it up. She discovers they have a smart home lock and finds her email and password to hack it. Kellyanne walks away from the computer as Camille's picture is left on the monitor. She decompresses with a workout class now. She's doing her photo shoot now as we cut to her walking home. Clementine runs to her saying how pretty she is. Kellyanne learns Clementine is still in town and sleeping outside and eating from shelters. She stares her down and we see she's invited her to her apartment. Clementine loves the place and asks all kinds of questions about her job, money, if she's a model. She orders a pizza and the two continue to chat. She learns about Clementine's home and how she got here. Guinevere hears and sees everything, and Clementine is sketched out by that. Kellyanne says her AI is smart. It's dangerous to let an AI wander the internet. Clementine asks about calories and champagne, and they ask for a joke. The two watch a talk show called More Catholic Than the Pope. The Ludovic trial is the subject for tonight's episode. Clementine is locked in and gets so fired up she wants to call in. Her call is taken, and she tells the host they should be ashamed talking about him like that, spouting all that bullshit. She calls the show shitty, and the audience brainwashed. One of the panelists says she needs help and asks her to message her privately, and they hang up on her. The host says he hopes she gets with a therapist and to call back in. She weeps and it's morning time now. Clementine brings back groceries for her contribution to letting her stay and offers juice and to make eggs. She pauses and weeps, saying she's not crazy. His eyes don't lie. She apologizes for crying and asks if Kellyanne cries. When I feel unstable, I play racquetball. She teaches her how to play and encourages her. All right, Bryson, next set of scenes, what do you think?
So, yeah, the movie officially gets me with this set of scenes. You know, truthfully, probably my second favorite scene here happens with Kellyanne when she gets home and really shows off her technical abilities and being able to track down everything on Camille's mom from just stuff readily available. I thought it was fucking awesome. You know, every bit of that seemed 100% realistic from what I could tell anyway. You know, and I wonder if years down the road, like, this will be looked at as, like, you know, we go back and look at Hackers in like the Italian Job and stuff like that, where it like just really dates the movie. So I don't know. It'll be kind of intriguing down the road for that. And finding out later that she has this fetish shows in some of the stuff here on the second watch through. Again, had I gotten my way with what I wanted to see, which I'll touch on when we get to the ending, definitely some of this stuff would have had to been changed. But I'm glad the way it is. I mean, look, I was trying to pick this computer stuff apart and really couldn't. You know, and look, Elizabeth Locust playing Camille's mom, absolutely phenomenal with her grief. Again, playing it to the point where I couldn't tell if she's being real or not. And she really was such an underappreciated part of making this movie work, in my opinion. Now, I don't know if I really needed the photo shoot scenes. You know, I understand, I agree with Dustin with this, that it does kind of give her something important to lose later to her obsession. So I'm not 100% sure if it would have worked so much without it, but perhaps there was just a different way to show it, because Dustin said side quest. That's exactly right. I almost felt like, she lost her job. Who cares? She's making all this money from poker. So I don't know if that 100% worked for me or just took up more runtime. So,
well, for me, let me piggyback right there because I don't have it in my notes. To piggyback what you said, though, this movie, I felt the runtime. So,
yeah,
and a lot of it were those scenes. So, just say she's getting a call from her agent saying, "We got you another photo shoot." That's all we need. We don't need to actually see the photo shoots.
Agreed. There we go. That's what I was trying to say too. I agree with that. I'll let y'all talk about the call-in show part. I think it definitely did show more depth to Clementine's obsession with Ludwig, but I did find it interesting. It's the only time that I think the entire movie where Kellyanne showed compassion in any way towards anybody, taking her under her wing. So that's an interesting character study there. Interesting little thing I noticed, but I am 100% locked in now.
Yeah, the only time the photo shoot works is later on in the film where it gets like really creepy and intense and she's kind of starting to show her obsession. But I agree, it's kind of, I don't know if we need them. I don't know if they add a whole lot, but other than being artistic, I guess, which fine, sure. Her surfing the web in this way, doing this deep dive investigation, makes me uncomfortable in the way that she's going about it. Using the dark web to gather old passwords and where she lived and all this other stuff, just super unsettling to me. And honestly, her knowing her way around the dark web is unsettling. It's also stupid because every government in the world is also on the Tor/dark web. So you're not hidden there. People know your activity the same way on the dark web as they do on the regular web. Every government in the world is on there. So everything you do is also being tracked. So there you go. I don't know why people still use it. And honestly, no matter what DuckDuckGo says, you're not discreet using DuckDuckGo either. So it's all a big lie by big government, big internet, I tell you what. And it's just uncomfortable. Now, what's even more unsettling is how quick she can go from doing that and hacking and finding that information to doing her workout and doing yoga. I'm like, well, this is super unsettling. Now, I could watch Kellyanne do yoga all day. So if you want to just make a movie that's an hour long of that, that's fine with me. I have no problem. But anyway, then we get more with her and Clementine, just super polar opposites, these two characters. And they've set it up, and I mentioned it in my open, where they make you think or feel like Clementine is the more dangerous of the two. But in reality, that starts to crack here a little bit, where I think Kellyanne is significantly more dangerous than Clementine because she doesn't seem to have a whole lot of emotion tied into this. This is strictly for the junky thrill of it. And it's super, it starts to kind of pop up here. Now, them eating pizza on the floor, I got to ask, maybe it's cultural, okay? Maybe it's just something that people do that I'm unaware of and my dumb hick American ass doesn't know. You're going to tell me a model doesn't have a table that these two can eat pizza around in her futuristic ass apartment with an AI assistant? I don't know, man. Something that bugged me a little bit. And Clementine is a sad person. She's also kind of a fucking moron. I know that eventually she ends up having that remorse at the end, but she's hurting a lot of people by her views in the process. The TV show scene is crazy. And you can tell that, like Brian mentioned, I don't know if it's compassion, Brian, as much as it is, she made Kellyanne uncomfortable by how emotional that she got. That's the way I took it, where it's like there's a little bit of compassion there, but it's also like, ooh, you're like not in this for the same reason that I am, clearly, as we see in the next set of scenes. But Clementine did this to herself, and she definitely tries to bond in the next scene, talking about eggs and orange juice and we're not crazy, right? Stuff like that. And all Kellyanne can do is go play racquetball, like she's not, doesn't feel those same feels that Clementine feels. So, all in all, I thought this was where the movie picks up a little bit as far as the character study side, but I am ready for it to completely pick up here.
Man, this Kellyanne side quest. Something big needs to happen with it soon. Otherwise, I'm just bored to death with it because it's just very mundane. I don't care that she has a job. I don't care that she likes smoothies. I don't care that she does jumping jacks at night in her apartment. Come on. Then Clementine, she has some nerve to tell Kellyanne that if she was younger, she'd be the killer's type and then try to hug her. That's a wild thing to say. Like, you're a stranger. But then she brought Clementine to her apartment. So I don't know. I don't know where this is going at this point. But that's a very ignorant decision by Kellyanne to me on the surface. Proves that women aren't afraid of anything except for accountability. I did laugh when Clem asked if Guinevere or whatever the home assistant was, she asked if it was sketchy. Bringing a stranger who's a groupie of an alleged killer home, that's way more sketchy than Big Brother listening in. After seeing Clem call the show and talk to Kellyanne in the morning, like, I concluded that both of these women need meds and both need to be on a watch list, and both could probably call me. Or, they can go to racquetball, I guess. Women will do everything in the world except for deal with their issues. We're moving along.
Jesus Christ.
Shout out all of our lady listeners. Appreciate y'all tuning in, if you still do. On the subway, Kellyanne is asked why she always folds. She teaches her some online poker strategy now. When you play a lot, you learn to not count on luck. A bar, honestly. The two set up camp on the street as we get that spooky score again. They make it through security and into trial. Quick montage of Kellyanne and Clementine until we see Kellyanne doing another photo shoot. This one being kind of abstract and gothy. Today's the day they'll show the videos in court, the news reports. All jury members agreed they could handle it. As the court starts, it's announced that the showing will be private except for any victim's family members who wants to stay. Kellyanne and Clementine are upset but leave. Clementine tries to watch through the door as we hear cries from one of the victims. Francine storms out as we see the jury's reaction. Kellyanne says you don't hear the man's voice, and she asks how she knows. Kellyanne reveals that she's seen the tapes and she shouldn't see them. EMTs enter the courtroom and aid someone who passed out. Clementine says she wants to see them. Kellyanne closes the shades and it's dark as hell in this apartment. She verifies she's sure she wants to see them and plugs in the flash drive. We hear a girl screaming and Kellyanne points out the eyes and the way he walks and moves his arms. Clementine closes her eyes and we see a quick shot of the aftermath with blood all over the room and a quick shot of the masked man's eyes. She goes to play the second tape and Clementine, with tears in her eyes, watches as we hear the girl screaming. Clementine packs up and they get on the subway. They get to their spot to sleep and Clementine says she's not sleeping here tonight. She's going to the bus to go home. She says she's sorry and Kellyanne says nothing, it's your life. Clementine offers to pay her back and wonders why she was so nice to her. She says she doesn't understand why Kellyanne is here and tells her bye. Kellyanne sits stoically in court again as she locks in on Ludovic as they hear about the illegal activities on Tor and how it protects its users. And yes, red rooms are possible on that site. We pan to Francine and the victim's family as we see Kellyanne looking around. Kellyanne locks in with a prosecutor and it cuts to her on the computer. All right, Bryce, next set of scenes, what do you think?
This is what I was talking about earlier, and this is why, Mike, I don't agree with the thought of her having any good intentions. A very important conversation, I think, to the entire movie happens right here. I talk about it in my ending, so I may repeat myself a little bit, but I think her saying that the main thing she enjoyed about poker was not winning, but seeing others gradually lose everything. I don't think there's another line in the entire movie that shows who Kellyanne really is more than that. Now, this set of scenes is where the movie scared me. And this is what I mean by that. I told Nico this, but the thing that stuck in my head was Nico saying last week, I'm curious how Brian's going to feel about this movie. So that tells me, oh, great. It's some fucking gross body horror stuff or something weird. And as soon as they sat down to watch those videos, I said, I swear to God, I'm going to drive to fucking Tallahassee and punch Nico in the throat if they show these two girls in this video. Thank God they didn't show that. Pascal absolutely did not have to. I got the terror. It came across like you wanted to. It was truthfully absolutely the right way to do it. I was just at first like, oh, fucking great. Here we go. So, again, bravo to Lori Babin, who plays it just fantastically. And you can see her absolutely know it's Ludwig in those videos. And her heart just absolutely breaks. Great acting there for sure.
You guys have mentioned Kellyanne's side quests. Honestly, her poker addiction thing is even less interesting to me. That's super random. Like, I know she mentioned earlier that she's good with numbers and stuff, but I don't know, man. What is this person? You're like, who is this woman? It's just super random. And I guess it plays to her personality, but still, I don't know. I feel like it does play in, I guess, in the scene where she wins the bid for the video because she risks it all, wins, and then it ends up getting to use it to buy the, I don't know. Anyway, this is what I mentioned where I thought the photo shoots actually kind of worked. This little montage where they splice in creepy music and things like that with her modeling pictures and her wearing like the black outfit and the head thing and all that. I thought that was creepy, very artistically creepy, but still creepy. I had a problem with this courtroom scene here because you're letting the public in, but making them leave and only showing the family, like, not necessarily like, hey, show me the video. I don't want to see that shit. But you might as well show, I mean, they've been there for the entire thing. You might as well show everybody the video so they can see how truly sick this bastard is, especially these, quote, fangirls that you've let in here. What a better way to deter them from coming back than showing the videos, because it's clearly him, right? And it, so I don't understand that decision. If you're it's a piece of evidence, it's a public court case, you might as well show the video so maybe they won't come back. I'm not saying, maybe that was a family request. I don't know, but I think if you show the video with everybody in there, anybody that would have been on his side would have immediately changed their mind and not come back. Probably for the best, right? So just a thought right there. That way you leave no doubt to his innocence. That would be my only argument there. But not a big deal.
I think it was a respect. I think it was a respect thing.
Of course. But I know, in real life, it probably would have been a family request, maybe even. But I mean, I think you could have deterred any groupies by showing it to the full public that was in the courtroom. Not that that's a good thing, but just like, hey, if you think he's so innocent, look at these videos that we have. Now, then we have this scene with Kellyanne and Clementine. Kellyanne never once broaching the subject that she's seen the videos to Clementine, even though she knows that she's in love with this guy, and that's the only reason she's even at this court case, is some low life shit, man. Just kind of like, what are her motives? Like, this is where the character of Kellyanne starts to puzzle me. What are your intentions? What are your motives? Like, why did you hang out with her when you know damn well the person that she was in love with is guilty? Like, I truly don't understand. As Dustin would say, it's just like a woman to do some shit like that. Hide it till it was convenient for her. You know what I mean? Anyway, but I'm so glad they don't show us these videos. The noises and cries are plenty effective. It's horrifying to listen to. Seriously gave me chills. It is downright horrifying and disturbing. And as stupid as she's been, Brian is correct. Great acting, because your heart breaks for the character of Clementine in this moment. The realization that you've kind of helped prop this loser up it would be something very heavy to carry for sure. And I would go home too, because I've caused enough damage and I can't sit here and watch the rest of this knowing I've been wrong the whole time. This is where I said, and this is my last thing, Kellyanne is significantly more dangerous than Clementine, because I don't see her as some anti-hero doing her own investigation. The police and prosecutors have plenty of evidence, even if they're missing the third video. She's not stepping up and stepping in where they've lapsed. She's just has this weird obsession, this chasing the thrill. And that's seriously disturbing. And yeah, so that's all I had. I mean, again, I thought this is where it really starts to kick up and becomes kind of Kellyanne's movie, or her descent into even more madness, I guess.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot on really any of the remaining sets of scenes, but we finally get back to the trial and it's gone. I realized that at this point, what I thought this movie was going to be about, I was completely wrong. After a little montage, though, we do get back to court, and this time we get some progression here. I will say, man, the sounds from the videos inside the courtroom is chilling. Clem is sick trying to watch them, but Kellyanne is even more sick when we find out that she's already seen them, especially when she shows them to Clem. And Clem is all, when the camera is showing the two women's faces, Clem is all emotional. She does not like what she's seeing, but Kellyanne is just stoic. She's sitting there showing no emotion. That's unnerving. If I'm Clem, I'm absolutely leaving. Absolutely leaving now. Good call by her. The silence from Kellyanne when she asked her why she's there, that said a lot. And that's all I had here.
She's checking her Bitcoin transactions and her messages. How did you find us? The two interact, and she says she can afford to purchase whatever it is for sale with high demand. She must verify herself, and we see her walking hauntingly to the school. She goes to Camille's house where her picture hangs on the tree with flowers all around it. She hacks into the lock on the door and looks through the window. She makes it to the door and unlocks it and relocks it. She's entering the courthouse again, getting screened and passes. She awaits trial, and she locks eyes with the guy from earlier who seems to be on her. The press tries to stop her, but she presses on and does another aerobics class at home to some screamo music. She takes a call from Lucy and finds out the shoot is off. They canceled her. They think her brand is too edgy, and they think she's weird. She's been taken off the website, and she's ticked. She's taken out frustrations on racquetball and checks her mail. Guinevere tells her more jokes as she surfs the web. She's watching the news on her phone as she's looking in the mirror with blonde hair now. She's got questionable stockings and shoes on as she goes through the metal detector. She has a retainer in her pocket. And what ensues next is one of the most haunting scenes I've ever watched. It stuck with me for days. Kellyanne sits down and puts in blue eye contacts. She removes the jacket and we see she has a school cardigan and uniform on. She pops the braces on her teeth. Francine looks back and notices, letting the others know. The court starts and Kellyanne is removed as she stares hauntingly at Ludovic in a horrific score and screams play. Ludovic waves at her as she's dragged out of the courtroom. Back to racquetball as Lucy tells her she's crossed the line and her contract has been broken. She verifies to the online forum her identity. She's told to get a burner number as we hear Francine's pleas for help play again. More racquetball. Kellyanne is stressed out and breathing hard. All right, Bryson, next set of scenes, and the next set is the ending. Go ahead, brother.
Such a fantastic shot here from the inside of, I don't know how to say this, the Ballou household. I don't know how you say that, but seeing the door unlock and then go back to lock, like, tells you everything you need to know, and really was just a haunting shot. And speaking of haunting, Nico brought it up. Holy shit. Like, her dressing up like Camille again. At this point on my first watch, I was still wondering, like, what her angle was. You know, I also, again, kind of questioned, like, why she went off the deep end, or at least seemed to after losing her job, because, like, she seems so in control the entire movie and just so unbothered, just like Dustin was talking about. That seemed to almost be a tipping point for her to finally just go all in on her craziness, pun intended. And that look from Ludwig, like, finally getting him to notice all of the times that we've seen him not even look up in the courtroom, 100% think that this scene is effective because of that music cue. The soundtrack is crazy good right there. Dominique Plahante was the composer for the movie. I gave him 100% of the credit right there. Amazing work all the way around. I don't have a lot on this set of scenes. I do on the ending, but I'm so anxious to see how this ends at this point that I'm honestly chomping at the bit.
Yeah, watching Kellyanne in this chat made me nervous, and I'm not even a part of it. Like, this seems like way too dangerous of a game to be playing, right? And again, like I mentioned earlier, you're never really hidden on the dark web, whether you think you are or not. Like, there's always a trail back to you. And I'm just trying to figure out how. So one of the bailiffs or whatever, you know, whatever they're called in French Canadian court, recognizes her or something, or did Clementine tell her? Like, how does she get? I have a fire truck outside of my house. Apparently someone's house is burning down. But I hope not. God bless. Hope everybody's all right. But anyway, how did she get found out in this courtroom? Was it the chat? Was it, that's never fully explained as to how she kind of gets spotted here and basically ruins her life over what? I don't know. Like, whatever's done in dark will be brought to light for sure. I also don't feel bad for her. She fucking sucks. She's a terrible person. She's a freak. I will say, and Brian, I don't know how you didn't enjoy this. Maybe I missed it because I had to get up for a second and take a piss. This AI with the dad jokes, hey, those were pretty good. I didn't write them down, but they had a couple good one-liners in there I thought were pretty funny. And then so she dresses up as the youngest victim. For what reason? Like, I know she's a sick individual, but like, what's the reason? We have no motive. And I know I've said a million times, a motiveless killer is 10 times scarier than one with a motive sometimes. But like, this is different. She's not a killer. She's like obsessed with this case and dresses up as the young victim. And I'm not really sure why. Like, we never get the motive. And look, her putting on the braces is wild, just wild behavior. What a scene, though. Super uncomfortable, super unsettling. Very well done as far as making my skin crawl. Like, I thought that was well shot and well made. And the music they use, the screams that are in the music, and just her facial expressions, I think they nail this scene as far as making it very scary, very creepy.
All right. Yeah, she's off her rocker. Lock her up. Just getting on the dark web chat, getting in those chat rooms, that's enough for me. Lock her up. But maybe I expected too much. But going from that and feeling the paranoia that I felt during those scenes of, that she's going to get busted, to her just working out and finding out she lost her job, like, that's a letdown. That wasn't a payoff. Like, I knew she had a job. We saw it extensively, and it just is like, okay. Like, I don't feel like I felt it enough. I will say that she looked insane when she showed up to court with the blonde hair. I'm not talking about when we saw her, what she was wearing underneath her jacket there. I'm talking about when she arrived, she looked insane. The emptiness in her eyes, it was haunting. And the score was incredible right there. And then her having her little costume on and putting in the contacts and the braces, that's just sick stuff. But Ludovic waving at her, that was truly something. I mean, that certainly makes him look guilty. Did no one else in the courtroom see that? Like, I felt like that's damning. Yeah, I hate this bitch. I'm ready for the ending.
Yeah, before we go on, I just want to say that I don't really think the modeling thing was really like her job person. I think she made most of her money playing poker. I think that was just a way for her to be seen. She craves attention desperately,
Mm-hmm.
like, and that's why
all women do.
And she kind of got in trouble before, she got totally let out of her contract because of how bizarre her looks and her style was. And I don't know. There's just something about Kellyanne that just really haunts me. Like, everything about her just kind of terrifies me, that we live amongst these people.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there. Like, that probably wasn't her main source of income, and she probably didn't care about it that much. But if that's the case, why do I need to care? Like, it was
she
a complete
just wants
miss for
people
me
to see her weird style and her
Yeah.
weird, like.
She's Julia Fox. I get it, but like,
Yeah, it's a good comparison, actually.
but like, her getting that phone call and freaking out because her picture's off the website. It didn't for me. It didn't. It didn't hit. I didn't care. I don't know.
Well, and that's just it. I don't understand why she cared, because for her to not care about it that much, she like broke down. I felt like for the first time you saw her
In tears.
like, okay, go all in to go crazy.
But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I just thought it was interesting because as soon as she gets fired or whatever, she doesn't care about keeping the pictures for herself anymore. She just starts deleting all of them immediately. So it's not for her; it's for other people to see her. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's just very odd to me, because I keep pictures for myself.
Well, you're also not. I don't know.
Hey,
Are you a serial killer groupie?
Julia Fox was that was a good pull.
That's exactly who she reminds me of.
All right, guys, coming to the ending. The payphone rings and Kellyanne answers, getting her code. She looks outside her window and sees what looks like detectives looking up to her apartment as she locks in for the auction. She cashes in all her Bitcoin and enters the auction to purchase Camille's video. The bids start and she's playing poker simultaneously. The auction price goes higher than the amount of Bitcoin she has until she goes all in on a poker hand. She's nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs until she wins the hand. She has enough now to win the auction and purchases the tape after an epic bidding war. She's emotional as she celebrates. She asks Guinevere to tell her another joke, but she grows suspicious when the joke is why ghosts are such bad liars, because they're so easy to see through. She puts the AI into the blender, destroying it. She gets the file and puts her headphones on to watch, and her face is lit up red. We see she's at the desk drinking champagne out of a silver goblet. She awakes and puts her Camille cosplay back on some nut shit, and we see her walking like Mark Hoffman out the building, messing with the security footage. She's back at Camille's house and cuts the power off and makes it inside. She goes into Camille's room and sits on her bed and takes a selfie just like the picture of Camille. She goes into the room where Francine is asleep and leaves the USB on her nightstand. We see Kellyanne walking away from the home through the window. Back home, we see her monitor shut down and the haunting score plays again. Ludovic was found guilty after a trial of Bitcoin trails and new evidence turned in anonymously. The news shows an interview with Clementine, who used to be in love with him, who now confesses she doesn't feel the same. My thoughts are now with the victim, she says. Rest in peace. And the film ends looking out of Kellyanne's apartment. Brian, that's the ending. What did you think, brother?
All right, so this bidding war was incredibly tense for me as a viewer. Like, I have no idea why she wants that video at this point. And I know it's kind of hard to put into perspective. Again, something else I wonder if this will date the movie. But seeing the 21.5 Bitcoin, like, it's hard to just see that and it really register how much fucking money that is. I mean, right now on November 20th of 2025, one Bitcoin is worth over $90,000. This girl won with 21.5 of those things. But just the tension of that poker game and the bidding war at the same time, and knowing how she felt and talked about the odds and poker, that she had to go out of her comfort zone to risk something that she never would have before, just shows the links that she had to go through this video. So even more so, I'm like, what the fuck is she going to do with this video? And yeah, admittedly, I was a little disappointed. But I mean, again, admittedly, wanting a different ending is on me, not the filmmakers. So I would never say this movie sucks because it should have done this. I didn't make the movie. I'm just saying what I would have wanted to see more. That's all, which is I wanted to see her be a relative to one of the killed girls. Now, again, admittedly, you would have had to change a lot throughout because it's very clear that she's just a psycho into this shit. Like, she was nearly orgasmic when she got that video. And again, I can't understate the importance of this line. The main thing she enjoyed about poker was not winning, but seeing others slowly lose everything. She's just fucking crazy. And that's a reason why you would have had to change a lot throughout to get my ending. Again, that doesn't make it bad in my opinion. Just disappointed for what I wanted. I think she achieved the goal of possibly hurting the family with them having to see the video and getting to see Ludwig go down as well. A very wise man, Alfred Pennyworth, once said, "Some people just want to watch the world burn." So that's my take on it. You know, her taking those trophy selfies in her room was disturbing. That was the most disturbing scene to me. So great job by the filmmakers to achieve what they set out to do, I think.
Yeah. I mean, this obsession that she has isn't adding up for me. Like, again, I can't hit that home enough where what are her motives? And again, I know she's just kind of crazy, for lack of a better term, but like, I don't know. I felt like we don't walk that journey with her. Like, we don't find out why. But again, it just seems like she's desensitized and numb to whatever she's been watching. And so she just has to find something darker, something deeper, and she's let that darkness in. But again, that's not super satisfying, like you've all kind of touched on, where it's like, well, that doesn't really have a whole lot to do with the case itself. Like, she involves herself in this case by dressing up as one of the victims, finding the video, watching the video, completely disturbing as she's watching it, like the euphoria that comes over her face, like all that is there. And it is just insane. Like, spending a ton of money on Bitcoin, which, Brian, I agree. I kind of wish they hadn't done that, because if you don't know, and I really don't know what amount of money that is, that, you know, in 30 years when Bitcoin may be irrelevant or may be the most relevant, I don't know. But I do know that in 30 years, if someone were to pick up this film, they're like, what the fuck is BTC? Like, what is that? I don't understand. So, like, again, just spending what I'm assuming is a lot of money to get this video, and she only did it because of the poker situation. Like, we're revealing her character, but never really kind of like come out and state it, I guess. She loves smoothies and loves being on the dark web. I don't know what else there is to say about her. Now, she obviously gets this strange adrenaline rush from involving herself. You mentioned the attention part, Nico. Sneaking into the house, dressing up like her. Just a sick bitch, man. Like this is a sick person for sure. Leaving the USB for the mom. We kind of hit that already. I don't really need to go over it again. But, you know, last thing I have, which is I almost for a minute had a little bit of a glimmer of hope for Clementine healing. But she's also on a talk show talking about it and kind of making about. So again, she's not really looking it, introspectively at herself and what pain that she caused yet. Like, she's still talking about her former obsession on national television. So again, like most true crime, we're all making money off of other people's pain, aren't we?
Shout out to Monster on Netflix. I'm glad that this psycho had a chance to play PokerStars.com before she joins her murder stream. I mean, what? Come on, lady. And then I can't be the only one that noticed this. One of the other people in the bidding war, their screen name, Faggot Mom. What are we doing?
Jesus.
What are we doing?
Jesus.
I will say, you touched on the cost of Bitcoin today, Brian. Her final bet was 21.5 Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin does fluctuate daily, but we got a timestamp says October 3rd, 2022. The closing value for Bitcoin that day was $19,044.07, means that her winning bid was $409,447.51. Was it worth it? I can't lie. This inning just didn't really do it for me. Like, it was for such a slow burn. I just wanted more action, I think. Instead, we got to see her play poker and walk around a while and then commit a B&E. And okay, so she ended up helping get the convict or get him convicted. But like, even that's ridiculous to me. She's not Batman. Why is a civilian going undercover to get the evidence needed to convict? And we've already talked about, was that even her intention? I don't think so. I don't think she had any good things in mind. Like, I think she wanted to torture the family a little bit more. And then seeing Clem on the talk show admitting she was duped, okay. Like you said, Mike, you're not healing. You're going on a press run now to say, I can't believe the wool was pulled over my eyes. Yeah, it was, you idiot. Like, that just I could have done without that. That was only like 30 seconds and just did nothing for me. All in all, it's not a bad movie. It just didn't hit for me.
No, I'm with you on the Clementine thing, but I do think it's realistic though, so I didn't really mind it.
No, yeah, I'm not saying it's not realistic that she would have done those things. I'm just saying I wouldn't care. Like, if this was a real situation and, a killer is out there and has groupies, I'm not going to tune in to see what the groupies have to say after they realize that I don't care about that. I'm not giving them any attention.
No, that's fair. That just proves how our media is. Like, they want to talk to those people. Like, that's the attention that they want, because it does get a lot of viewers. It won't get like our views, but it does get a lot of views from these people. So I get it.
Yeah, everything's broken. What we focus on is broken. ESPN don't even show sports anymore, hardly.
No, they don't. MTV, they quit showing music now.
No, hey, they stopped showing Ridiculous now too. Like, they're finally ending their relationship with Rob Dyrdek.
Good night. All right, let's jump into our social media comments and questions. I didn't have anything on Instagram. Did y'all have anything on Facebook or X, Blue Sky?
I had not a one.
My phone died, so I have no idea if we have anything.
I don't think
on
Facebook
or
had
not.
anything either. This movie's kind of a sleeper.
Yep, it definitely put me to sleep.
I hear you, brother. Let's jump into
I'm sorry. That was uncalled for.
You're good. You're good. I like your movie next week, you asshole. But anyway,
I haven't even seen it.
Let's jump into our trivia fun facts. I just got one I'm going to share. This movie at the Fantasia Film Festival where it debuted, it won the Best Film Award, Best Screenplay, and, Brian, you've mentioned his brother's name a lot, Best Score, Dominic Plante. He won Best Score at the festival. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I just have one very fun fact, because I bet you were wondering how I was going to do it. Sasha Samar, who played a constable in this movie, he was also in the Jeremy Renner-led Arrival. Brian likes that movie. It's a good movie. With Mark O'Brien, who was in a movie that we've reviewed called Ready or Not with Samara Weaving. Now, she, of course, was in Scream 6, which featured a shrine to David Arquette's character, Dewey. Boom.
I was curious if you could make that one happen.
That's pretty impressive.
The fact that you made Ugly Stepsister and this one work is pretty damn impressive.
Very impressive.
Yes.
Very impressive.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. No budget for this one. Not publicly disclosed anyway. Couldn't find one. Looks like just worldwide it did $146,000 around that area, because it was a a festival release for the most part. Didn't have a big, box chain release. And so now it does hold an 81 out of 100 on Metacritic. I don't know if Dustin was going to go over like IMDb and stuff like that. But yeah, so it definitely has high critical review, even if it doesn't have high audience review. I honestly didn't look it up. So, but yeah, not a whole lot of money to make the film, not a whole lot of money made off the film.
It's a passion project.
Well, I looked that up, like the release dates, because like, is this a 2023 release? But it got a very limited 2024 release in the United States. Correct. In like September. It was like 1 or 2 weekends. So I'm just going to consider 2023 because that's when it released in Canada where it was made. So that's what I'm going to count it as. Guys, any more trivia before we just jump into our favorite kill, least favorite kill in the rating?
Let's do it.
Dustin, you want to kick us off?
I didn't have a kill. I mean, there was 3 victims, obviously, but we didn't see any of them. They were after the fact. They didn't happen in the movie. They happened before the movie. So I didn't do that. And
you're a sicko if you picked that as your favorite.
Yeah. My final thoughts and rating, to me, it's just too slow and mundane, and I don't care that Kellyanne ended up saving the day and helping him get life behind bars. She didn't have good intentions, and she's still a psycho. I thought it was just an okay movie that didn't do anything special or provoke any thought from me. It just kind of exists. I gave it a 5.5.
Yeah, again, I've said how I feel about this. Rewatchability, bad. First time watch, intriguing, good. The more I think about it, the more I like it. I don't want to sit through it again, which is a very weird situation for me to rate it wise, but I decided to rate it pretty good. I gave it a 7 3/4.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of positives here. I think it's an interesting character study as far as the character of Kellyanne and how she plays off of other people. I think it's an interesting topic when it comes to true crime obsession, how people use the dark web. Normal people that you see every day likely are on there doing shady shit, so you never know. But yeah, it's interesting topics that they touch. Sometimes it doesn't all come together in a neat bow like you would like it to. And so I don't necessarily think they stick the landing, but I think it's an interesting ride getting there. And so I do like the movie. And so I didn't have a kill either because they were all gross and disgusting and we had to hear them. So that was bad enough for me. I went ahead and gave this movie a 7.
Yeah, all right, my turn. I originally posted my review on TikTok on 8/12, but on 9/2, I posted another follow-up video with just the picture of her in the courtroom scene with the braces and all that. Like that scene and this movie just stuck with me for that long. I don't know why it just unsettled me that bad. Like Brian mentioned, like whenever Ludovic looks up and like you start hearing the little girl screaming and the sound kicks in. I don't know. It just haunted me. And even in the prosecution, like when they were just describing the case, like this movie just stuck with me and it haunted me for so many days. And I just think Juliet Gariepi gave such a great performance. I really appreciate it. Like this was her acting like feature debut, and I was very impressed. These are the movies that I'm kind of looking for these days, just ones that just unsettle me and make me think. I really enjoy it. I gave it a 9.75.
Hauser. All right. I will say before I give our composite, if you're looking for a film that unsettles you, The Strange Things About the Johnsons will do that. Anyway, our composite score for this one is a 7.5. IMDb is a 7.1, so we're right there with them. Letterboxd 3.9 out of 5. Rotten Tomatoes, 96% of critics liked it.
I'll take it. And if I could retroactively go back to 2023, this would be my best horror movie of the year for that year.
Wow.
Personally, that's just me though. Not that I'm anything special. I'm just a forklift driver. But anywho, any final thoughts on Red Rooms, guys, before we just shout out our blood donors and Dustin can announce his pick for next week? All right, appreciate it. Appreciate you guys reviewing that one. I know it was a little bit of a slower movie. I was really curious how y'all feel about it because I know this true crimey stuff really gets to Brian, and just all the reviews I've done with Dustin, he doesn't really care for like true crimey stuff, mockumentary kind of stuff. So I really didn't know if he'd like this one or not. But shout out our blood donors: Camper Liver Reoccurring, Nina, Michelle Mirza, Steve Schmidt, Matt from the UK, and Anthony Andrews. Camp Counselor Reoccurring, Edwin Hernandez Gunn, Joe Swinford, Adrian Aiello, Brian Samick, Andrew Ferguson, Brooke Maley, Heather Superdoc, Jennifer Davison, Too Close to Home Pod, Dana Tucker, Cole McAlexander, Max K, and Amanda Pettiford. Like we've mentioned many times, you take a huge burden off of us, help us pay the bills. Like, it really does help us out a lot. We really thank you guys. Dustin, announce your pick for next week, and we'll conclude November.
Yeah, so a while back, I was in a conversation on Twitter with some social media friends, and a movie was brought up that I hadn't seen, and it was recommended. So I was like, I've got enough on my plate that I'm watching for fun. So if I'm going to watch a horror movie that I haven't seen, let's just pick it on the show. I went with 2019's Villains. It fits what I kind of like to pick, which is a horror comedy, and great runtime. So I'm looking forward to an hour-and-a-half movie. It's got Bill Skarsgård, Micah Monroe, Jeffrey Donovan, Kira Sedgwick. Great cast. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one for the first time.
Jeffrey Donovan is the best part.
Can't wait.
He's hilarious in that.
I used to get
movie.
him as my people would say he's my celebrity doppelganger. I never saw it, but like when I was clean shaven, people used to say that. Anyway, I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Hey, you tell me. Hey, we appreciate y'all tuning in, and we'll be back next week with 2019's Villains.
Good night, Canada. Blah, 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 blah.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, take care of yourself.
Just want to remind everybody,